Sherwood Children, fund number 24000074.
All right, we are on record for the third review and a permanency planning hearing in this matter. May I have the names of our participants, please?
Carson Howitt, lawyer, guardian ad litem.
Ms. Stasia Thomas, counsel for the department. Mr. Farian.
Christopher Farian for the department.
Michael Brooks, I represent a 14-year-old juvenile named Colton Sherwood. And I was appointed because he wanted certain things to be done, and I'm told secondhand now that he's changed his mind and doesn't want to do those things. He doesn't want to be placed with his mother anymore, which is why I was appointed. There you go.
Thanks.
Michael McFarland, representing father Charles Sherwood. Please introduce yourself.
Charles Sherwood, father.
All right, very good. Well, let's start with our guardian ad litem.
Yep. I was able to meet with the oldest KS in person on April 29th, 2025 at his grandpa's house. He's finishing up middle school right now and he's currently in baseball season. He's very athletic. He plays football, basketball, baseball. He's looking to continue that all into high school. He does work a little bit too at a laundromat with his grandpa and he gets paid a little bit. He's still living with his grandpa and they have a pretty good relationship. I would say there were some bumps at the beginning, but I have no concern with their relationship and they really are getting to start to understand each other a little bit better and have a productive relationship and, just progressing through different, events in life together. He helps around the house. He does pay some gas money if he wants to go see his friends. Like I said, just their relationship is getting better. Moving forward, he'd like to see his dad more and more and as much as possible. He's pretty comfortable with his current living arrangement with his grandpa, and he'd like to stay there for the time being. He'd like to stay in her school district, which is somewhat of a change from my previous conversations with him. So I think he's just getting more comfortable on the sports teams and in class. I believe staying in with his grandpa's in his best interest right now. It's where he's comfortable, doing well in school, and has a supportive environment. I was also able to meet with the two youngest, HS and TS, on April 29th, 2025 at their mother's house. They had just gotten back from school and H had just gone on a field trip to the Jackson Fairgrounds where she saw a bunch of different animals and she told me all about them. She had a really good time. She was recently placed on a medication for ADD or ADHD and the mother reports that she's doing much better and they're hoping that continues. T is a little bit younger, but he had a few toys to show me and we talked a little bit more about Moana, which is their favorite movie. And I did watch it in this reporting period, so I could talk with them a little bit about it. So could recommend anybody, but yeah, so they were right. Together they were able to show me their cat and there's a lot of dispute over who is the cat's favorite, but altogether, I think they're doing really good. Both kids would like to see their dad as much as possible, and mom would like the visits to be unsupervised, as the supervised visits are putting a lot of stress on her to make sure everyone can get where they go and she can keep up with work. So I do think unsupervised visits are appropriate at this point for all three children. This comes mostly from my direct conversation with the oldest and father's therapeutic visitation coach, Miss Langen, where she had great things to say about the progress that dad has made, and she doesn't think that there's any risk to allowing them to have unsupervised visits to just continue to strengthen the relationship. She had mentioned that they took a safety planning activity very seriously, and I think that was in the most recent court documents. And I was pleased to see the strides and efforts that the oldest and his dad had made to, make sure that this incident does not happen again. So at this point, that would be my recommendation as well as for unsupervised visits for all three children. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Thomas?
Your Honor, I think I'm going to call Mr. Sherwood at this time.
Okay, Mr. Sherwood, coming up to our witness stand.
You should your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Would you give us your full name for the record?
Charles Thomas Sherwood.
Thank you. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Hi, Mr. Sherwood. How are you doing today?
Doing all right?
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. I just wanted to call you up to the stand to see if you've read the court report for today's hearing.
Yes.
Okay. And was there anything in
Yep,
it that
just a little
you
bit.
did? Was there anything in it that you did not agree with?
No, not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. And generally speaking, are you aware of what is required in your case service plan?
As of right now, yes. I mean, I don't, there's nothing been changed or anything.
Okay.
Mr.
It wasn't a trick
Sherwood, I
question.
wear
Just
hearing aids and I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. No, right now, there's no changes or anything that I'm aware of, so it should be on the same page.
wonderful. Okay. Did you have an opportunity to review the psychological, and this is last period, but in the past, did you review your psychological evaluation?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And are you complying with the recommendations that were included in that report?
I don't recall what they are right now at this moment. There were a few things in the report that I did disagree with. I'm not quite
Okay.
sure how to really answer that part. so.
That's okay. And as it relates to some of the, I guess, recommendations and elements of your case service plan, are you still attending individual therapy?
Individual, no. Right now at this time, I'm between doing my anger management classes and everything else, I just trying to keep everything afloat. The costs and everything right now is just kind of trying to get everything going. And I mean, I'm trying to get back to the house with the kids and everything. And right now we have 2 monthly sets of bills, so it's kind of straining us on the financial side.
Okay. I want to ask you about that in a minute, but I just want to stick with the case service plan real quick. For your probationary terms, are you in compliance with any of the other court's orders and probationary terms?
Yeah, I attend a anger management class once a week, and other than that, there's no classes or anything that are required.
Okay. And I believe the report indicated that's a 26-week program. Is that accurate?
Yes,
Okay. And are you abstaining from any alcohol or drug use?
yeah, I didn't really use before, so I mean, it's not an issue.
And I know that you mentioned it's kind of difficult financially managing the 2 households, but generally speaking, are you able to figure that out?
Yes, like I said, it's a struggle, but we make it work.
And you're currently employed, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And you've given Mr. Farian proof of that?
I haven't gave any, or I think I might have given him the company's name and my boss's number, but I haven't given any like pay stub or anything.
Okay. And generally, do you feel that you and Mr. Farian get along well?
For the most part, yeah. I think
Okay.
we have some disagreements on some things, but
And the report from Parkside is pretty favorable to you. And so I'm just wondering your perspective on that service that you completed.
there were some issues in the beginning, where I think we got past that and things turned around for the better.
In what ways do you feel you benefited from that service?
I mean, I got to talk with Colton, we got to talk a few things out that I think might have had a strain on our relationship in the beginning that we couldn't really talk about before. So I think there's a little bit better understanding between me and him. And trying to get back to improve on it.
You mentioned in earlier that your goal was to get back to the home with your wife, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell the court how that looks from your perspective? Like what is prohibiting that? And if the court does allow unsupervised parenting time, is that something then that would permit you to go back to your familial home?
Right now, there's, with Brittany's younger child, there's a no contact between me and that child with the father. Right now, we're trying to talk with attorneys and get it back into the court system so we can try to get that lifted. When him and her first split up, he did the same thing. And had no contact order on us, and we went to court and it was taken away, so.
Okay. And so if this court allows the unsupervised parenting time, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to go back home, correct?
No, not right away. Like I said,
Okay.
we're trying to get it to the other, or to Jackson County courts to get that other side taken so I can actually go home.
Okay. And then as it relates to your older child, the LGL noted he's sort of adjusted to life with grandpa, which I know there was some struggles there, and he wants to stay in that school district. What would your plan be if the court were to reunify him with you?
As far as him going to school, he would probably go to Columbia schools. That's always been where he wanted to go in the first place. I know living with grandpa is kind of made it to where he had to go to Napoleon, and I understand the being in there and everything, so. But I mean, he would be going with the rest of the kids in the same school district.
Okay.
That's if we continue to stay in that little area, so.
Okay. What is your ultimate goal for a custody arrangement with your oldest child?
For him to be back home with me where he was prior to the incident.
And was he spending time with his maternal grandfather when he was with you?
Yes,
And did he get to see his mom or talk to his mom when they chose?
they talked on the phone when he could or when he wanted to. As far as I know, is him going and seeing his mom. He never went and stayed with her. He did go to grandpa's house, and through grandpa, they would see each other a little bit. But that was none of my doing or any of my control.
Okay. And so your goal would just for it to be I'm sorry, that was really inarticulate. Your goal would be for that to be reestablished, for him to live with you and sort of have these relationships with his extended family members and see and talk to mom.
Yeah, I never hindered him trying to talk to his mom or see his mom or anything like that.
Okay.
That was never my goal or intentions or anything, so.
Okay. All right. Is there anything from the court report that you wanted to address or anything else you would like the court to know?
Not right now, no, nothing I can think of.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Mr. McFarland?
What's the biggest takeoff? What's the biggest item that you've learned or technique from Ms. Langston? Langham, sorry.
Taking a second to think about something before making an action, or trying to think about it before something happens. Just in general, just reacting and thinking about it before reacting, I just say.
I know the guardian ad litem and Ms. Langham are advising that it's okay for you to have unsupervised now. What do you think that would look like? How many times a week would all the kids be together? What would be the duration of these unsupervised? What are your thoughts? And
As
your
far as
availability.
putting a limit on it, I don't say a limit. If my kid calls me and I can go see them, I'm not gonna say no. I don't see a schedule set. Minus with the two minor children, just because of the incident with Brittany's other child. That might be limited just a little bit, just because of the scheduling there, me getting off work, her that. But I fully intend on taking the kids to the appointments when needed. If I can take them after school, that'd be a
You
plan.
mean school and doctor appointments or counseling, anything like that?
Yeah, anything that I can be involved in taking them to.
Do you necessarily have to see all the children together, or what are your thoughts?
No, I don't think that would be a requirement. We all have different schedules and everything going on right now. And we're not in the same household and the same, so getting all the kids together at the same time, I think might be a little bit of a challenge, but I mean, it would be something like on the weekends if it's available, or if we can set something up for on Thursdays after school or something, to get the kids all three together or something. But I don't have anything set now.
Anything else that you want to cover with us today?
I just want to be able to get back to being a family, with my whole household, not just individually.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Mr. Brooks, any questions?
Excuse me. No, Your Honor.
Mr. Hill?
Yes, Your Honor. Would you be opposed to individualized counseling?
No, I'm not opposed to it. Like I said, right now, with funding two households, it is everything that even going through insurances and everything, it's still $150 per person per visit, 3 times a week. I mean, that's $500-600 a month.
So it's just a cost
It
thing.
is, if I can get back to a whole household, then that frees up that $600-700 to be able to do something like that.
And I just want to touch on the schooling situation for Colton. If he was pretty adamant he wants to stay in Napoleon and live, in that school district, would that be something you'd be open to doing?
As
or-
far as living there, I'm not gonna change my whole life and move and this and that just to satisfy that. That's him staying in Napoleon, something we can maybe talk about. Not saying 100% no, but wasn't ever really a thing that was put out to me through him or anything yet. He's always wanted to go to Columbia, and as far as I know, that's what it was 6 weeks ago when we got done with the counseling. And that's what me and him spoke about then.
For the two youngest, what would your visits look like if they were unsupervised? I know kind of into that with your attorney, but what are some activities you might do, or
just different than fishing, hiking. I mean, I take them to the park. I mean, if we get sports is one thing that if with doing the unsupervised is something I can help get them to. It's hard for Brittany to try to make that requirement by her, or make all those requirements with sports and everything by herself. So that's something I would be able to help with the kids being able to actually do now. I don't have a set schedule. I'm not gonna try to put a set schedule out. If I get off work in time and I got a couple hours before the kids go to bed, I'll pick them up, take them out to the park or something, take them on a bike ride. I'm not limited to just one of those things.
are the things that you learned with Miss Langen things that you think you could apply to interactions with the two youngest as well?
A lot of it, yeah. I mean, it's always pretty general with not just being the kids, it's people in general, so.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Be redirect Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Recross, gentlemen?
Well, thank you.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you for your testimony. May you return to your seat? Watch your head. Any other witnesses, Ms. Thomas?
Thank you. And I'll just call Mr. Farian to lay foundation for the report.
Mr. Christopher Farian, come on up to our witness stand.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, Mr. Farian, you've provided a court report for today's hearing. In addition to the case service plan was a Parkside report And then a closing IHT report. Were there any updates or modifications that need to be made to those documents?
I did have the closing, therapeutic visits between Mr. Sherwood and his son. That came after I'd already submitted my court report and whatnot, so I did turn those in, I believe it was over the weekend. I believe everybody got those.
Yep.
And
But time out. Sorry. I was just
That's
asking
okay.
about those first batch of documents. Were there any updates to
Yes.
that one?
No, not to anything that I needed to.
Okay. And then you have sent over one document since filing that pack, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And that's the therapeutic visitation closing summary, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And is there any update or modification that needs to be made to that?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay. During this review period, how would you describe Mr. Sherwood's level of compliance with and benefit from his case service plan?
Mr. Sherwood has addressed the issues. I know that one of the big things was what was going to happen in criminal court, which has been addressed. He did have to do a additional jail time, which was 6 to 7 days, I think, total. He was originally to have his parole probation out of Lenawee County, but that has since switched to Jackson County. I do make reference to that in the court report. He's met with me regularly as scheduled, and he wasn't, as indicated in the reports from Parkside, was compliant with his meeting with his son and doing the therapeutic visits and cooperating with that.
Do you have any concerns at this time regarding any of the children or Mr. Sherwood, and any outstanding referrals that need to be made or services that should be maintained or started?
No, I think that there was some discussion that's been previously mentioned today regarding individual counseling. I know Mr. Sherwood, since day one, we had tried to get him involved in that early on in this whole process. And there were some issues with places we're going to take the insurance, weren't going to take the insurance. So he's run into that barrier quite a bit. I was able, just in preparation for today, to speak to his probation officer, who did give me some indication of some people that may be available there in Jackson County to help assist in that I can pass on to Mr. Sherwood.
I believe your report, contrary to what has been stated so far, I believe in your report that you are still asking that parenting time with the oldest child continue to be supervised, but not therapeutic. Is that still your position?
Well, I kind of got a curveball on that one in the last couple of days, so I'm trying to wrap my head around and get some more information on why that has changed. I didn't get that indication from Ms. Langen. That doesn't mean that I asked that question either, though. So I think that as moving forward or moving along with the family, myself and the therapist, and that it had always been kind of this progression of, hey, we're going to do this, then we're going to try to do the supervised, and then go to the unsupervised visits. So I trust the individuals involved in this, the people that the department looks to make those recommendations and their decisions. I do trust that. So I kind of can defer to them. I mean, if they feel that it's appropriate and it's going to be beneficial, I can respect that. But again, I'm kind of trying to wrap my head around that in the last couple of days. So.
Okay. The oldest child he is also participating in individual counseling, correct?
Correct. It is an Alan Zanz, and I always get it wrong, but I think it's Jackson Healing. There's 2 places in Jackson that have almost identical names, but it's Jackson Healing. I'm pretty sure that he attends.
And has he been consistent with his attendance?
He has been as consistent with attendance according to Mr. Zanz. Yes.
And is there any concern that that service would not continue in the next review period?
I don't think, no, the service is slated to continue. I mean, that's always been the plan. I think that, you know, if we are discussing, and I know here a few minutes ago where Mr. Sherwood is testifying about if he were to get custody back and some of his decisions he make, I think it would be I would think it would be very important for him to continue to be able to have that outlet. I think that's helped him through this process quite a bit. According to his counselor, they have talked about him going home or having this relationship with dad, and I think it's been very beneficial. So I'd like to see that continue regardless.
Okay. And are there any, I know Mr. Sherwood testified a little bit about his wife's child's custody matter. Is there any pending custody issue related to the oldest child that you're aware of?
So it's my understanding that KS's mother has refiled with friend of the court to reestablish or to gain full custody or physical custody, so to speak. It is also my understanding that the friend of the court at this time has deferred until our case is completed, and then they would be going back to finish that discussion. And I've received that from both Mr. Sherwood and Ms. Isom.
Okay, thank you for that. And then as it relates to parenting time with the younger two, are you still supporting the unsupervised with those two children as well?
I am. They've both requested it about every time I go to visit them. They're very adamant about that.
Okay. And is there anything else from your report or your knowledge of the case that you believe the court should know for today's hearing?
Well, I think that it's important just because this is the first time we did. The department's now doing TDMs. We did have one of those to discuss this case and the children moving home. So we were the first one in the county. So moving forward, progress. That would be about it.
Okay, thank you. With that, I have no further questions of Mr. Farian and would ask the court to accept the court report with the attachments. I know that one was sent late. However, I think that's been supported in testimony that it's favorable and just provide some insight as to why the recommendation may be for additional parenting time between the oldest child and Mr. Sherwood.
No objection to the late attachment, no objection to the report.
I take the same position.
No objections, Your Honor.
Thank you. They are received and they are part of our record. Questions for this witness, Mr. McFarland?
Just one. You've not attempted to reach out to Ms. Lang in the last couple of days, right?
I did speak to her prior to getting that report, the last report.
After the report, you've not reached out to her, correct?
No, sir. I
Nothing
haven't.
further.
Mr. Brooks, any questions?
Well, sir, I was appointed to represent the 14-year-old boy because it seemed like his goals and wishes ran contrary to the department's. And so the court thought it was in the best interest he have his own lawyer. From your perspective, do the boy's wishes now run counter to with the way you think things should be going? Or I can rephrase it.
Yes,
He no
please.
longer wants to live with his mother.
It is not his mother. It is his former stepmother,
Oh,
which is the mother of Mr. Sherwood's younger two children.
I understand. Now he no longer wants to live there, right?
That is correct.
Likes it where he's at.
He is comfortable where he is at. Yes,
Are you comfortable where he's at?
I am.
That's all I have.
Mr. Howitt?
Yes, Your Honor. You testified that you spoke with his probation officer in Jackson, Mr.
Correct.
Sherwood's probation officer, and
Yes.
he gave you a few names of counselors that may be willing to.
She did, yes. She gave me one specific, and that is the healing place in Jackson.
Okay. Is that something you'll be able to pursue in the next few weeks to try and get Mr. Sherwood into individualized
Um,
counseling?
yes, I can, give him the, information to contact them. And he would have to make those initial contacts for the referrals.
Okay, so the department can't assist Mr. Sherwood with funding or anything for individualized therapy?
That's something that we can discuss, yes. I mean, I do believe that there is funding, but we contract with certain places, so I will have to check with
Okay.
those individuals.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Any recross?
None?
No,
Thank you for your testimony. May I
Thank
return
you.
your seat?
Yep.
Any other witnesses, Ms. Tennis?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
No, thank you.
Mr. Brooks?
no, Your Honor.
Mr. Howitt?
No, Your Honor.
Comments in closing, Ms. Thomas?
Thank you, Your Honor. It's nice to have another hearing today where we're having a parent make progress. I know that there are some legal issues outside of our court's jurisdiction that need to be addressed for this family before there can be full reunification or I guess reincorporation of one another in everyone's day-to-day lives. And given that, we are asking the court to adopt the recommendations in the court report with the understanding that there would obviously be this transition period for Mr. Sherwood and his oldest child and parenting time. I think that's what Mr. Farian was alluding to, and I think that that might be appropriate, and that can be discussed in a family team meeting, as long as the department has a discretion for that unsupervised parenting time. And otherwise, we would just ask for another 90-day review to monitor everything as things move forward. Thank you.
Comments, Mr. McFarland?
Ms. Langen is the expert on this. The workers had an opportunity after her report to call her. That wasn't done. I think we should.
I'm gonna need you to speak up.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Langen is the expert on this. The worker had an opportunity to call her after the receipt of the report, didn't. I think we can say that we would like to see this implemented as soon as possible. I think we've heard of my client's thoughts what this would look like. I don't know that it would require a team meeting, but if that's what the court orders, my client is more than willing to do that. Once again, the issue with individual counseling is that of cost. There's no cost that is bearing now. If the agency can help with individual counseling with finances, he's definitely willing to do that. That's part of what we're dealing with. Thank you.
Comments, Mr. Brooks?
Well, it appears to me, Your Honor, that my recent appointment to this young man's case is no longer needed, that the goals and objectives of the family and the department and the young boy are all in alignment, and I'd ask to be dismissed.
Well, I hate to dismiss you and then have to call you because things have changed.
Then I'll stay.
One more review period, please. Comments, Mr. Howitt?
Yes, Your Honor. I think, I'm excited about the progress that Dad and the oldest have made, and I'm excited to see that Dad is learning in the counseling with Miss Langen and seems to be actually benefiting from it. So it's really positive notes coming from Miss Langen and my direct conversation with her. I would like to see him continue to be involved in some sort of individualized counseling. And I think we've talked about some steps that we could take today to ensure that that happens rather quickly. And then as far as unsupervised visits, I think definitely appropriate for the youngest too. And I think going back to my conversation with Ms. Langen, her recommendation comes from the fact that Colton's the oldest is a little bit older. They've worked through some of their issues, and she really thinks that their relationship needs to grow, and the setting for that is an unsupervised visitation. I do think that's in the oldest's best interest. I would say that the child, and I am in agreement with Mr. Sherwood's plan for the visitation schedule not being set, just because there's so many moving parts in this case, whether it be his wife's work or the oldest sports schedule, just a lot of moving parts. So I think everybody needs to be flexible, and I don't think the set in stone schedule is going to be appropriate to accommodate everybody in the most efficient way. I do think there's a few decisions coming up in this next reporting period that we need to really hunker down on and make sure we have a lot of information on, including school and living arrangements for all three children and Mr. Sherwood. So I do think it would be appropriate for Mr. Brooks to stay on in case there's some separation and what may be in the children's best interest and what they want. But other than that, that's all for me. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Clerk finds all interested parties were given notice for purposes of today's review and permanency planning hearing. Goal of reunification is clearly supported by the reasonable efforts that I've received by way of court report, updates from Mr. Farian, as well as those service providers in place to help support Mr. Sherwood and his progress, which is being made. I will agree to allow the department to have the supervised and unsupervised parenting time. We will look forward to seeing the benefits as a result of that in the next report period. And encourage Mr. Farian to schedule a family team meeting to look at what that's going to look like and what expectations may be in place for Mr. Sherwood's involvement with the children. Understanding that it may not be a set in stone schedule, but certainly something reliable. And his contact with his children would be reassuring for them to be on a regular schedule, as well as for Mr. Sherwood and for Ms. Brittany, the mom, to know perhaps what she could expect by way of support on a regular basis. So I think that could be a really good opportunity for all of them to talk about that, if you're willing to do that. I will also indicate specifically as it relates to the oldest child, that the parties should follow the recommendations by Ms. Langen. And it looks like that begins with some phone calls and contact in that context. But I would ask you to address those things, as well as maybe even any other comments Ms. Langen may have to help guide that process as it relates to Mr. Sherwood and his oldest child. The placement of the children will remain as previously ordered, with the non-respondent parent in placement in the next report period. But Mr. Sherwood will not be prohibited from contact, as has been previously ordered. He'll have to navigate the issues in Jackson County Court on his own, but our court's not going to stand in the way of that, with the exception of the integration of the plan for the unsupervised parenting time, as previously articulated. We'll have another review and permanency planning hearing on July 22nd at 8 o'clock in the morning. Just kidding, Mr. Brooks. That's going to be at 1:30 p.m.
I'm sorry.
It'll be at 1:30.
Oh, thank God. I'm sitting here with my pen going 1:30. Thank you.
You're welcome. July 22nd at 1:30 p.m. will be our next review. Unless there's any questions, that's all for today.
Does my client wait out in the hall, Your Honor?
I'll have it, I'm finished with the order, so I'll have it in just